Good morning, children. Lesson 10 of your textbook, The Sermon at Benares, is going on. In last sessions, we had discussed the lesson. We had already discussed gist and detailed summary of the lesson. We have discussed one question. Extract based comprehensive questions exercises. I have already told you these extracts are very important for your examination. In this regard, I would like to discuss some other exercises for comprehension. You can see exercise number 2. Kisa Gotami became weary and hopeless and sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city. As they flickered up and were extinguished again, at last the darkness of the night reigned everywhere. There are some questions. I think you understand the paragraph. See the last line. At last the darkness of the night reigned everywhere. Do you understand what is darkness? That is death. Yes. What is light? Lights are our life. Okay. Question first. Why do you think Kisa Gotami became weary and hopeless? You know this? It was because she could not find a house where no one had died, because there was a condition of Gautam Buddha that bring a handful of mustard seeds from those house or from that house where nobody had died. She tried but could not find a house where nobody had died. Yes. So she was hopeless and weary. Question number 2. How many sons did Kisa Gotami have? You know, only one son. She had only one son. Question number 3. C. What did she notice while sitting at the wayside? Just you have seen in the passage. She noticed the flickering lights of the city. Question D. What message did she get from the flickering and extinguishing lights of the city? Just I had told you, the lights are the lights symbolize our life. So it is easy for you to answer the question. Their lives, our lives, flicker up and are extinguished. Means we die just like lights which extinguish. Now there is third extract for comprehension. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and years later he returned home to many to marry a princess. This passage has been told for Gautam Buddha. You can remember. At 12, he was sent when Gautam Buddha was 12 years old. He was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures. And years later, he returned home to marry a princess. They had a son and lived for 10 years, befitting royalty. At about the age of 25, the prince, heretofore shielded from sufferings of the world, while out hunting, chanced upon a sick man. Then, engaged in a funeral procession, and finally a monk begging for alms. Alms भिक्षा को कहते हैं. These sights so moved that he at once became a beggar and went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. There are 4 questions for you to answer. A. What happened at the age of 12? It is easy for you. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred school. Second, what happened when he was out hunting? He saw a sick man, then human image man, and then a funeral procession. Question C. Where was he sent away for schooling? It is very easy for you. He was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures. And last question, when did he marry? He married at the age after completing his schooling. There is 4th extract for comprehension for you. Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings, as ripe fruits are early in danger of falling. So, mortals, when born, are always in danger of death. As all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken, so is the life of mortals. Both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, All fall means all die into the power of death. All are subject to death. There are some questions for discussion. Question number 1A. What did the Buddha say about the life of the people? The life of people is troubled and brief and combined with pain. It is easy for you to answer. Now there is question 2 or B. What does a ripe fruit fear? A ripe fruit fear. Here fruit is life of a man or a living body. Question is, what does a ripe fruit fear? A ripe fruit fears the danger of falling. This is just like our life. At the old age, there is a fear of death. Question C. What happens after reaching age? There is death after birth. There is death after birth. If there is birth, the death is inevitable. That is sure. Question number D. What, according to Buddha, death is avoidable? There is not any means, he says, there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. It can never be avoided. Dear children, there are some important questions for you. You should know it. Who was Gautam Buddha? Write a few lines about his early life. It is easy for you. I think you have studied in your history books, social science books. Gautam Buddha was a prince. He was named Siddhartha Gautam by his parents. He was born in 563 BC. BC means before Christ. In North India, he was sent away for his schooling when he was 12 years old. But 4 years later, he got married to a princess. You can say that they had a son, and after 10 years, he left his house for enlightenment. Question number 2. What did Buddha say about the mortals of the world? You know, what is opposite of mortal? Immortal. Naswar or Anaswar. So, your answer, the Buddha told Kisa Gotami that the life of mortals is troubled and brief in this world. Those who have been born cannot avoid dying, as ripe fruits are in danger of falling. So mortals are always in danger of death. All earthen vessels end in being broken. Question number 3. Did Kisa Gotami get a handful of mustard seeds as directed by the Buddha? Answer. Poor Kisa Gotami went from house to house. The people pitied her and were ready to give a handful of mustard seeds to her. But she could not find a house where no one had lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. Question number 4. Why did Kisa Gotami say, "How selfish am I in my grief"? What did she realize about the fate of mankind? Kisa Gotami became weary and hopeless. At last, the darkness of the night reigned everywhere. She realized that she had been very selfish in her grief. Death spares none. मौत किसी को नहीं छोड़ती. One who is born is destined to die sooner or later. No grieving or lamenting would bring a dead man to life. Dear children, there are some long answer questions, and you have to write the answer in 100 to 150 words. Question 1. The life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. With this statement of the Buddha, find out the moral values that Kisa Gotami learned after the death of her child. After the death of her only son, Kisa Gotami went to the Buddha. Firstly, she went to every neighbor asking for medicine for her dead son. She had lost all her senses. She forgot that no medicine could bring back the dead. Then she went to Buddha for making her son alive. Buddha asked her to bring a handful of mustard seeds from a house where no death had occurred. But she could not find such a house. The Buddha made her realize that death is common to all. It also shows the detachment from mundane life. Only grieving cannot bring peace of mind. There is a second question, long answer question. Why did Kisa Gotami understand the message given by the Buddha only the second time? In what way did the Buddha change her understanding? Kisa Gotami had lost her only son and she was there in grief. She carried her dead son to all her neighbors to get him cured and restored back to life. Finally, she went to the Buddha asking him for medicine to cure her boy or her child. The Buddha felt that she needed to be enlightened about the truth of life, that death and sorrow are inescapable. She could see that grief had blinded her, and it would be difficult for her to accept the truth. So, the Buddha told her to procure mustard seeds from a house where none had died. Kisa Gotmi went from door to door. Then she realized that there was no house where no one had died, and that death is common to all. She came back to the Buddha, where he sermonized her that life in this world is troubled and filled with sorrows. He gave her examples of ripe fruits and earthen vessels whose lives are short. This way, he made her realize that death is unavoidable and none, even the near and dear ones, can save anyone from death. Means death is true. True. Now there is a other question. Describe the journey of Siddhartha Gautam becoming the Buddha. Gautam Buddha began his life as a royal prince. He was named Siddhartha Gautam at 12. Gautam was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures. At the age of 16, he returned home to marry a princess. The prince was deliberately shielded from all sufferings of the world, but his attempt failed when the prince, while out hunting, chanced upon a sick man. Then he saw an aged man. He also chanced to see a funeral procession. Finally, he saw a monk begging for alms. These sights of suffering, sickness, and decay shocked and moved the prince. He wanted to seek the final solution of all these sorrows and sufferings. He wandered for 7 years in search of enlightenment. Finally, he sat down under a fig tree. He meditated there until he was enlightened after 7 days. He renamed the tree the Bodhi tree or the tree of wisdom. Do you know where is the tree? It is there in Bodh Gaya. He became known as the Buddha or the awakened or the enlightened one. The Buddha gave his first sermon at Benares on the river Ganges. There are some unsolved questions. You have to know their answers. Extract based comprehension question exercises. And the girl said, "Please tell me, sir, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha." Kisa Gotami repaired to the Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." The Buddha answered, "I want a handful of mustard seeds." And when the girl, in her joy, promised to procure it, the Buddha added, "The mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one had lost a child, husband, parent, or friend." Dear children, you have to answer these questions. Name the lesson from the above lines have been taken. It is easy for you. Question number 2. What suggestion did a man give to Gautami? You know, he suggested Gautami to go to Lord Gautam Buddha. Question C. What request did Miyami make to the Buddha? And question number 4. What did Buddha ask the girl to do? So I think it is easy for you to answer. B. The Buddha answered, this is second extract for you to solve. The Buddha answered, I want a handful of mustard seed. And when the girl in her joy promised to procure it, the Buddha added, the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. Poor Kisa Gautami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her and said, here is mustard seed, take it. But when she asked, did a son or daughter, a father or mother die in your family? They answered her, alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Don't remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. There are 4 questions. What did the Buddha ask Isa Gautami to bring? You can easily answer. A handful of mustard seeds. Question 2. What was the condition attached to it? Gautam Buddha ordered Gautami to bring a handful of mustard seeds from those houses where no one had died. Question C. Why did Gautami go from house to house? Because she could not find a handful of mustard seed where no one had died. That is why she went house to house. Question D. What did the people tell Gautami? They told her, don't remind them their deepest grief. The dead are many and living are few. Dear questions, very short questions for you to do. Kisa compared human life to an intimate object. What is it and why does she do so? Question 2. How did the Buddha attain enlightenment? You have to explain his wandering for truth or enlightenment. And at last he sat under a fig tree for 7 days in Gaya, Bodh Gaya, where he found his where he found enlightenment. Question C. The third, what did Kisa Gautami learn at the end? She learned that death is inevitable. Dear children, I would like to suggest you should read your textbook again and again. Never forget this. This will help you to know new words of the lesson. You should try again and again to understand the lines which you feel trouble to understand. If you have any problem, you may ask easily. You should underline them, and in our classes, doubt classes, we shall discuss. So I think he will do these things. Thank you, children.